Let's give it a hand for Flatrock.
My name is Ken, also known as Flatrock. I live in a place in Evergreen, Alabama, in a little town called Flatrock. That's how I got my name, Flatrock. And my mom and me, we bought this property back in late 2014, and my mom moved out there in 2015. Me, I had to stand back in Panama City, dealing with cancer, so I couldn't move out there at the moment. Well, you know, once I got out there, she started having things bang on her house, and she'd call me up. You know, somebody banging on my house, and you know, I just told her, you know, it's just probably kids. We're the first people to actually move out on this property. Ain't nobody ever lived there before, and you know, and we don't believe in Bigfoot. Period. At the time, did not believe in them whatsoever. Never even come to mind. And one day, she called me up, said, "Kenny, somebody's tapping on my window," and I could actually hear it. It's just tapping, you know, on the window. And then next thing you know, you hear a bang. And I told her to look outside, but you know, she was too scared to look outside. But we eventually hung up after about an hour of this going on, but it stopped. And you know, and all she could do was just grab up her dogs and come on back to Panama City. So she hung around for a night or two, came back up, and we had my other brother move up there with her. And it was still happening. Come middle of the night, somebody slammed the walls of her trailer. Eventually, I moved out there in October of 2018, right after Hurricane Michael.
Yep.
Moved back up. I moved up there in 2018, and you know, no big deal. It was a nice place to live. A lot of good hunting out there. You know, I've been out there hunting, and there's one event that happened before I moved up there. I went up there to go hunting, and I'm sitting up in my tree stand, and I start hearing this tapping. One on my right, one on my left, and it kept happening. You know, never heard this before, so I blowed it off, thinking it was just woodpeckers on both sides of me. And then all of a sudden, something huge and heavy come up a ridge. It never showed itself, but whatever it was huge. You know, I didn't know what it was. I was hoping it was going to be a big old deer coming up, but you know, it never come out. So about 30 minutes to an hour, I got out of the tree stand, went back home, never thought about it again. Eventually, I moved out there again after Hurricane Michael, and I guess 6 months went on, and we started hearing, when we pull up in the yard, coming in from going off to eat, we start hearing something walking away from where our homes were. We thinking it was people. Next thing you know, about a week or two later, I'm calling my dog to come over to come on in. Next thing you know, here comes a big old rock, hit my dog in the back of the leg, and I didn't know it was a rock at first, but when he was out there in the driveway, and I called him, next thing you know, he's spinning like if a car hit a dog. How they're spinning, they're yelping. Well, he was yelping, and then, you know, he got up, run into the trailer, and I walked over there, and there was a rock right there in the road, right where he got hit, about like that right there. And he couldn't walk for a week. But still, you know, we're thinking this is people doing this. thinking it's hunters trying to run us off this property. And, you know, little things like that just kept happening. And then one day, July 4th, we cook out and had a good dinner. And nighttime come, I received a call from Bob, who also, a person who lived out there on the property, who lost his home back in Florida, and said somebody's walking through the yard. And, you know, I met him over where he seen this guy walk across the yard, and we went after him. And never found him. So we come back up on the porch, and we started hearing some rustling over in the woods. And we walked over there, told him, hey, we hear you out there. Come on out, get on out of the yard. You know, no answer. Said it again, still no answer. So I told him, listen, we hear you in there. You just going through the woods. You know, don't come back through this yard. And about the time I said that, Bob popped a bullet off up in the air. So we walked on back to our homes. And that night, something come out of the woods. Still, we're thinking it's people. And whatever it was, got real belligerent out there. Screaming, yelling, banging, and just literally put the fear of God in everybody that's out there. So, you know, we're basically lost at what the hell is going on. But, you know, authorities were called, nothing could be done, because, you know, we didn't see nobody. So I started putting out recorders and video cameras. And that's what I'm going to be showing y'all today is some of the stuff that I captured out here on this property and some pictures of these creatures looking in my windows, coming up on our porches, sitting in the trees, looking at us while we're sitting on the porch. Audio of these creatures yelling, growling, howling, and some other couple things. And then I'm going to show y'all some physical evidence that I've captured out there on this property. But as I go along, I'll explain, you know, what video shows and what the pictures are showing. This first video is going to be a video of what Bob has seen. It's not the same video, but it's exactly what he's seen walking through the yard that night that we went after that started us on this Alice in Wonderland trip that's going on out there. Right there in the crossways, what's right there in the cross on the light right there. See him going across? All right, what he does, he goes through, then he turns back toward my trailer, and he'll look directly toward the camera. You'll see his eye shining. Right there, then he'll look again. Right there, he's looking again. And then he'll take off toward the woods. That morning, after that happened, we went down there to where, what we're seeing is these are the footprints we've seen when we went over there. That's my foot, there's the big one's foot, and that's the little one's foot right there. Now, I'm coming at you as a non-researcher. I am not a researcher. I'm a regular dude, and I started doing this for the safety of my family, and that's the only reason I do what I do, is for the safety of my family and nothing else. If I bring researchers out to the property, let them do the research and do what they do, but I do mine for safety. Now, this one, I used a baby monitoring camera to film this thing. Now, I filmed him for an hour and 20 minutes. This is just a small clip of this creature. He's standing back from my living room window, and you will see him go around a tree and squat down. And then when I bump that camera toward him, and it kind of shows that they can see these infrared lights. So you'll see once I move that camera, bump that camera over, he knows it's following him and he'll back out. He's right there beside the tree. You see the eye shining right there. That thing's over 8 foot tall, just to let you know. Well, I filmed this creature for an hour and 20 minutes, just standing out there. You know, you figure see me bump that camera over, he just basically see them lights move over, and then he does, just starts going down and back. And there you go.
Looks like you're doing a daily crawl.
He was fully standing up. All right, this one here, I actually caught him on security camera, but I just brought a screenshot of the security camera. There was this big brown one that was out there, and this one scared us to death. This big brown one was, because he didn't care who seen him. He'd come out in the open. But what he done that really put the fear of God in us, that thing was following my mom around. He'd always be watching my mom. And we ended up contacting the game warden on this one, and we don't see him no more. But here's the screenshot of this big brown one looking directly at my mom's house. My mom's in the backyard. This creature is in my backyard looking toward my mom, doing stuff in her backyard. You can actually see right there. That's my mom's home right here. There he is, looking into my mom's backyard where she's at. But they come and eradicated that one. This one here, these are screenshots of when you walk out our door. That's me and my pastor coming out my front door. You can see him right there behind us, no more than 20 foot behind us. We didn't know he was there, but my trail cam had caught him standing back there. And we believe that was that big brown one as well that did that, that was standing there. So you can see how big he is compared to us. sitting on the porch. We just go out there on the porch, and this area right there, that triangle-like area, that's where they used to always like to come up to just to watch us. And what you're gonna see is you're gonna see a small family clan in here. I'll point them out to you. I know it's hard to see. I'm trying to close in on them. You know, right here is the mama and some babies. Right there is the juvenile. But they come up in there and they just watch us on the porch while we're sitting there talking. They just come up and just stare. Why they do that, I can't tell you, but they just do. This is out my back door. These pictures that I'm going to show you is out my back door. And that's that juvenile that was in that tree that I just showed you, of the footage. That's that juvenile that was in that bush. Zooming in. I pointed them out for you, but you can see this one sticking his head out up there. He was about 9 foot tall. That one right there. I didn't know about this one right here sticking his head in that little hole right there. But again, they're just there looking at us, just looking.
We're their entertainment.
This here is one of the first pictures that I took as a family clan straight out my back door. You can see a mama. You can see the mama right here. That's her hand right here. Here's her children right here. You can see a pretty good face right there, a great face, one right there, and one right here sticking his head out. Right here is the juvenile of this group. Again, just staring. That's all we're doing, just staring. This one here is out my bedroom window, nighttime, just two of them looking toward our home. They were right across the street, right across our driveway, just right there in the bushes, you know, and you could actually see its eyes, you can see the big nostrils, you can see the hair on top of his head, and you can see the other one's eye shine right there beside it. That didn't quite stick its face out, but there they are. They just staring. Just
You got
standing
a
there.
nose, you got a nose like mine.
There's that juvenile again that was right there with that family group. That's a closer look at that juvenile, just sticking his face out of some kudzu vines that is right there behind out my back door. All right, this video, it's the video of them. I got my camera set back away from Mr. Bob's house. That's right there up front of the property. And what you're going to see here, you're going to actually see the eye shine first, and then you're going to see these Bigfoots come up. They're stealing dog food. And you're going to see this big one that covers the whole window. You'll see him bend down, give him a good clump of handful, and then they're going to walk away. just keep an eye on that window right there. That's him coming through. I mean, at daytime, that tree line right there in front of the house ain't really that thick during the daytime, but nighttime it looks like it's thicker and thick. Now you pick to see him bend down and pick him up a big old handful of dog food, and you'll see him walk off. If you'll look right there, that's your watcher. Right there. He's back in them cut foods, but he's a good ways away from the house. But that's your watcher watching all this group come up and steal the dog food. All right, there he goes, bending down. Gets him a good handful, and he walked off. The whole group got him a good old plump and walked right on off. All right, audio captures. I'm going to try to run through these pretty quick. This, they're yelling and banging on my home. This is at my bathroom window. Is that owl sound y'all hear out in the woods? Because that's him doing that, not no real owl. Okay, he's repositioning himself. You gotta do one more alcohol and this is a mama, and then you're gonna hear a baby, crying for its mama. There's your mama. There's your baby. One more. This one opened my grill up on my porch, and you'll also hear it talking. There's my grill. Rip something up. All right. This here is just, I'm going to pull it to the end here. This is one of the 4 howls that I caught close to the house. All right, this next vocal that you hear, the last one. Stacy and Tyler come over to the house just to come over. They didn't come over to do no researching. They just come over, spend time, have fun, sit around campfire and hang out. I done went in the house and basically laid down, getting ready for bed. Tyler and Stacy was still outside, and I could hear Stacy, telling Tyler, basically, later, brother, and you start hearing him go into his tent, and I'll let you hear the rest. That's Stacy. They're like a chimp. Something's coming in the woods. Something's moving around back there in the woods where where Stacy is, close to him, and then it sounds like an older Bigfoot, not the same one that was just, it sounds like a chimp. Anyway, here's the last physical evidence. That's some of the physical evidence that we found over at the house from myself and other researchers. There's that handprint again. There's a baby handprint, and you can see the heel mark as well where it jumped up on the cord. There's where one looked in my window, see if there was any food in the truck. And here's some close-ups of it. There's one hand. The other one, he grabbed my door handle right there. That was the other hand. That's some of the hair that we found out there. That's some of the hair that we put under the microscope. That's the human hair, the darker one, and then you got the other one that has no medulla. That's what they did in my fire pit. They used a stick to pull all that trash over to grab the food up underneath. That's the footprint from when that one was looking in my window. And that's it.
Flatrock in the house. How you doing?
Doing good, doing good.
Oh yeah. So they left a while ago, but somebody had a question. When you said that you had the game warden intervene and the creature didn't come back, what happened with that? What did the game warden do?
A few weeks after the game warden left, I'm filming on the back porch late night, and the footage shows a blinking light going over this area that I showed the game warden. I didn't know what that blinking light was, but I found out it was a drone. Then that light that
like
was
a person's
flashing,
drone?
yeah, like that light that was flashing was taking pictures or something, I reckon. But a few weeks after that, in February of 2020, we had 2 to 3 days of gunfire out there, multiple machine gun fire out there, tracing off through the woods. And after that, we just never seen that big brownie again.
I was wondering. They were asking. They go, "What did the game warden do to the Bigfoot?"
Yeah, they probably put it down.
Yeah. You think they can do that? I mean,
Yeah,
I think they do.
yeah.
I've always often wondered. You hear about them getting shot, but you never hear about it.
Well, I think the reason they done that is because the way that thing was coming up on us, didn't mind coming out in the open. He was always following my mom around. Like when me and that pastor come out the door, there he was standing right there, right behind us, and so I mean that was one that needed to be put down, in my opinion.
It's kind of like the bears that get into the garbage can outside the hotel.
Exactly.
You feel bad about it.
Exactly.
That's why they always say, "Don't." Do you gift at all?
No.
You gift, not even like toys or
No.
dolls or.
No.
I hear that some people tell me it's dangerous.
I don't know. I don't do this as research. I do it as a safety
You do it
reason.
because they're at your house.
Yeah. After walking that thing, follow my mom around for a while, that puts a fear of God in you. I mean, that's your mom.
And there's nothing you can do to control
There's
yourself.
nothing you can do.
It's like an act of God.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to shoot it at first, before I even got that game warden over. But the game warden told me, unless they're there, we can't, because that's when he said they were federally protected.
Really?
He told me straight up.
He acknowledged it?
He acknowledged it.
Wow.
Still got the man's phone number in my pocket. I'm on my phone.
Yeah, that's one of the things, Jeremiah from Bigfoot Society. I know you know who that is.
Yeah,
Or at least
I know.
heard of him. He thinks they're going to disclose them this year. thinks there'll be some government disclosure.
Yeah, I hope they do. They need to. So families like mine, won't have to. Other families won't have to go through the stuff we have to. Because we never believed in this creature. Never did.
They just showed up.
And there they are, right there in our face.
Now, was that land that land was in your family that you just
No,
moved to? Or just bought it?
nobody's ever lived on this land. These people who's owned it for over 100 years, it come down in their family.
Okay.
And they had it as hunting land, private hunting land. And they sold it at a cheap. I mean, hell, $220 an acre, $2,200 an acre.
I think we know why.
Yeah,
This place is dangerous.
yeah.
So what's the wildest thing, the best story you got to happen out there?
The wildest story, and it's kind of funny too, but it ain't.
Yeah.
I'm in the restroom, and I'm sitting down. Not go that far, and I'm looking at the blinds, and there's two glowing eyes looking in the blinds. You can see the eyes looking between the blinds.
What color were
Okay, they were yellowish orange. While I'm talking, I'll pull out the picture where I got my hand at where the eyes was. But that
looking in your window blinds?
yeah, that scared the holy, you know what I'm with it. It just scared more of me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was something. That to me, that was the worst. Getting your name called out, that can bother you too.
Yeah.
But that to me was the strangest and the spookiest. That there he is right there on the other side of that window, and he's just right there looking.
And he could come right in if you wanted to.
Yeah, if he wanted to.
Ain't nothing he could do.
No.
So have you had any woo happen at your house? Oh my gosh.
Woo.
Yeah, like something strange, mind speak.
Not mind speak. The woo part that I can think of is our name being called out.
Yeah.
Was
it like anybody's voice?
It was my mom's voice. But when I went over there to where my mom called my name out, she's not even in town. She's over in another county grocery shopping.
That's like a skinwalker. that's
All
like the
I know
worst-case
is
scenario.
that's the only woo part that I know of is hearing my name being called out by my mom's voice. It was definitely my mom's voice. But she's not even there on the property. She's in another county grocery shopping.
Well, I'll finish up with a question. What do you think about them being apes or humans? What do you think they actually are?
I think they're between both.
I think there's some kind of genetic
evolutionary
offshoot.
Because I've seen both the human-looking ones, that look like human look, and then the ones that look apish. So I believe there's a cross there. Somewhere there's a cross.
I hate when I
That's
ask.
probably what it's end up going to be.
Yeah, I hate when I ask AI to draw a Bigfoot and it gives me a gorilla.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not a.
Yeah.
Well, Flatrock, thanks. I'm glad you came on.
All right, buddy.
We want to have you on forever.
All right, man.
This is the best case scenario.
Yeah. All right.
Give it up for Flatrock.
We'll see you, everybody.